Survival games. They are usually about how a player has to survive using all the resources in an ecosystem with no consequences if they destroy it. Well, not in this game. Ecovival is a game where the player has to look after themselves and the ecosystem, as if they ruin it, they will face the consequences. So, to begin, we need to make a player, who for now will be a square. I coded movement for the player, and then coded the ability for it to attack things. Once I was done, I moved on to the part of any survival game that I have heard is super painful to make. Of course, I'm referring to the inventory system. In reality, the inventory system was not that hard, and after only one day, I had a player who was a square that had an inventory and could move around an empty ecosystem. Now I need items for the inventory system, so I made a stick, which you can use as a weapon, berries that the player can eat, bones, which is a stronger weapon, and meat, which is a better food source. We need to now discuss how the ecosystem will work. So basically, there's going to be these bushes that produce food for the creatures who eat them, reproduce, and plant new bushes. This means that the ecosystem should thrive unless some player ruins it, but like as if that's ever going to happen. So, let's start with the bushes that will produce the berries. These were very simple to code and only took me around 1 hour. They were also meant to produce honey that the player could not obtain, but I eventually got rid of this idea as it was way too complicated. I made it that the bushes were reliant on their berries being eaten. If their berries were not eaten, then the tree would die. Now you might be asking, how is the ecosystem meant to survive if the bushes need something to consume their berries? Well, let me introduce you the animals. I coded them the ability to move around, eat the berries, attack the player, reproduce, and die of old age. My goal was to make them act like real animals, and I definitely would say I succeeded here. So I opened up the game and was confronted with lag. Turns out the game was laggy because the pathfind system, so the animals could move, was way too powerful for my computer. So I lowered it and the game worked. Sorta. As when I went back into the game, the animals reproduced way too often. So I fixed that and the game was finally glitchless. So, I basically lied to you. So this game is actually not glitchless. So if you can see right here, when the monsters go to eat the bushes, they become the bushes. There's another bug. How did I miss this? Anyway, back to the main video. To add some more interesting mechanics to the game, I added genes that the animals have to simulate evolution. I also didn't add any barriers, so this can happen. The game still has one final problem. The player and the animals are not animated and look very boring. So to fix this, I gave them a basic animation, which has legit 2 frames, and made the basic attack a claw. This improved the game 1,000,000 times better. Finally, I had made what I wanted, a basic ecosystem where the player can either cause its demise or not. The game is pretty challenging, but is still missing a lot as there aren't many creatures or plants in this ecosystem. So maybe, sometime in the future, I will add a lot more to this game. To finish off the game, I added a day counter, a day-night cycle, and these indicators of how many monsters and bushes there are, so the player can see how healthy the ecosystem is. Anyway, see ya!